Two big pay-per-view events are happening this weekend, and I'm giving you my predictions for the less popular one, and the one that the main event is something nobody asked for, and I mean nobody. Who wanted a mixed tag team elimination match between Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch versus Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans? The only shining factor out of this for me would be the man losing to Lacey Evans so Baron Corbin can win a title without doing a damn thing, and then have Brock Lesnar come out and cash in. I'm going to blow the big prediction right off the bat because that's the match I really don't care about. I say finally let Baron win, man. Just let him do it. Let him be on the top and then have Brock Lesnar come out and just F5 the living hell out of him and get it done with, and then let Seth and, Brock go at it once again. Everything else on the card I'm actually pretty excited for. I'm not going to lie. I don't know why I am. I think between the two shows, AEW Fight for the Fallen and WWE Extreme Rules, I'm more excited for Fight for the Fallen, but the card in WWE fashion is actually really good. The matches on the card that we're going to go through, let's start off with a tag team match. Again, nobody asked for. The Undertaker and Roman Reigns taking on Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. The chosen one and the best in the world. I'm sorry, I didn't do that right. The best. I'm not going to do it. Shane McMahon has been bullying everybody. He's 50 years old. He's on top of the company. He's basically bullied his way to be the guy because, in WWE in 2019, nothing screams being the guy like being the owner's kid and just beating the shit out of everybody. So Undertaker and Roman Reigns are the Graveyard Dogs is the name WWE has given them. And honestly, I really don't care who wins. I would actually, to be honest with you, my perfect prediction, if I was doing a 5 crazy pay-per-view predictions, would be to have The Undertaker turn on Roman Reigns, tombstone his ass, and have Shane and Drew beat the crap out of him. But we all know what that means is Roman Reigns will just beat him 3-on-1 at SummerSlam because the big dog has got to get his W. Now, in that no-holds-barred tag team match, it's obviously going to provide a little different pace for The Undertaker, who had a horrible match with Goldberg because Goldberg was too busy clocking himself with a concussion before the match. So this one, I really don't have any high expectations for, but the one thing I am looking forward to is, you know what? No, I am looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to it for one simple reason. I want Drew McIntyre to look like a damn star. There's rumored matches possibly happening at SummerSlam with The Undertaker versus Drew McIntyre, and if it is the final retirement match, it won't be because the Saudis will throw more money and Undertaker will be coming out with a wheelchair going, I'm here, and it's just going to happen. If I had to make a prediction on this one, I'm going to go ahead and say that, you know what, I want Shane and Drew to win. They're not going to, but if I had to make a prediction, I want Shane and Drew to find some way to win, and hopefully that's Undertaker and Roman kind of not working together, but that's stupid, we all know it. And then we have Drew Gulak versus Tony Nese, which will probably be on the pre-show, unfortunately. They let him off the pre-show for one pay-per-view, and then they went and buried him the next one and put him back on the pre-show. Drew Gulak, who's an Evolve talent, who WWE has tweeted more about Evolve in the last week than I think they've mentioned him in the last 5 years combined. He's a former Evolve talent, and he's taking on Tony Nese. And again, the premier athlete, Tony Nese versus Drew Gulak. I want Drew Gulak to still win. I like Drew Gulak. I think he had a great showing last month in that triple threat, and I definitely think it's finally time for him to have a little bit of a run, hopefully. So, yeah, pretty simple prediction on that one. Then we go to the tag team match. There's 2 of them on the card. There should have been 3, but, the Kabuki Warriors, ain't nobody got time for them. And then Daniel Bryan and Rowan taking on the New Day and Heavy Machinery. Now, the interesting thing about Heavy Machinery is they actually had a 9-match winning streak going into their pay-per-view match last time. They did lose, and now it's a triple threat. So WWE logic would dictate they're probably going to win, or they're going to be the one to take the pinfall in this match. And I think it would be the perfect time to take the titles off of Daniel Bryan and Rowan and give give Chris Farley the chance to be number 1 in the company as a tag team. I enjoy Heavy Machinery. The crowd is popping for him. I mean, when you watch SmackDown, they definitely seem to be behind him. The Worm is huge. I love the Worm. I'm a sucker for the Worm going back to the Scotty 2 Hotty days. So, you know what? Let's let Heavy Machinery win the tag team titles and showcase some new talent. Then we have Aleister Black taking on Cesaro. Now, Aleister Black has been doing this gimmick on TV, trying to get people hyped for his mystery opponent. He put out a challenge. Now, Cesaro on Monday Night Raw, because they're not even on the same show, but, this is WWE Survivor Series Extreme Rules, so obviously you can intermingle between the brands. Cesaro's been beating the hell out of people 2 weeks in a row. He beat the hell out of No Way Jose when the 24/7 championship came running out and interrupted their match, and then he did the same the next week. And Cesaro sat down on SmackDown to answer the challenge. I'm all for a Cesaro that's just a big, mean Tubby, cut this. I'm all for a Cesaro that's just a big badass who just comes out and beats the living shit out of people. And that's hopefully what I'm all for a Cesaro that's just a big badass who comes out and beats the living shit out of people. I think Cesaro did a great job in the last 2 weeks, and I hope it continues. But at the same time, Aleister Black and the Black Mass is pretty deadly, so it's probably a 2-week build for Cesaro, and he'll ultimately come back because, you know, if you listen to the sheets, apparently Paul Heyman's a huge Cesaro guy. So even if Cesaro loses, don't fret just yet. I think a big push is coming for him. Then we have Ricochet taking on AJ Styles. Man, listen, the club is finally here, and I'm not going to say that word because, you know, it's 3 years later and we don't do that anymore. But there's one phrase that solidifies this perfectly. Basically, Carl and Luke got to sit at home. They got to, like, have kids and family. Well, not Carl, Luke, obviously, but Carl got to have his hot Asian wife and his kids at home. And now they're back, and the club is a heel faction, although Finn Balor is still doing nothing over on SmackDown. He's still smiling, doing his thing. It's AJ Styles versus Ricochet for that United States title. Now, this is something WWE's been doing literally every single year for the past 4 years. The guy that was the World Heavyweight Champion goes down to the United States Championship at the Intercontinental. They did it with Roman Reigns. They did it with Seth Rollins. They did it with now AJ Styles. Every year, there's 3 things you can count on: death, taxes, and a world champion going for a mid-card title to make it relevant. And Ricochet, who won the title, I'm not against it if he loses. I mean, I think it's going to be weird to have AJ Styles as the United States champion. Hopefully, Luke and Carl will get the tag team championships. To be honest with you, I'd love the club to expand, too, and just become this dominant, wrecking fashion. And, you know, if I was making 5 crazy predictions, I'd say, hey, let the club get over and have Dean Ambrose come back next year, but we all know that's not going to happen. So I had to make a prediction on this match. I would love to have a way where Ricochet steals this match, because what's going to happen is Luke, Carl, and AJ Styles are literally going to lose their shit, and they're probably going to cause mass havoc, and they're going to beat the hell out of people, and that's what I'm all for. I want Ricochet somehow to find a way to win, although we probably won't, and let's be honest, losing to a guy like AJ Styles, whether you want to say it or not, there's nothing wrong with that. The dude was the face that ran the place over on SmackDown. He was a world champion. He had a hell of a match with, I was going to say hell of a match with Nakamura, but we all know it wasn't. AJ Styles is the face that's running the place over on Raw right now because the big dog and everybody else is too tied up with people like Baron Corbin. So if I had to pick somebody, I'm going to say Ricochet steals one. But again, if you're listening to this and you're like, if Ricochet loses, he's buried. No, he's not. He's facing a 3-on-1 situation. But hopefully Ricochet steals it. Then we have the big last man standing match because, you know, ruptured spleens only take a week and a half to heal. And Braun Strowman's fine. He's fine. Going up against Bobby Lashley. Listen, I never was a big Bobby Lashley guy. I think I caught a little bit of his TNA run, his MMA stuff. And now that he's back, he's actually way more appealing this year to me, at least, than he was last year. Because last year, he just wasn't doing it for me. I still wish he had Leo Rush. He used to do the butt cheek gimmick, which is pretty cool. But now he's just Bobby Lashley. He's just this dominator, and he's going up against Braun Strowman. Just 2 big hosses going to beat the absolute shit out of each other. And I would not be surprised, to be honest with you, in WWE booking fashion, because this is also something they do. We needed this one to go to a third one, probably. So Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley are probably going to beat the hell out of each other so much, and it's not going to end clean, and they're, again, going to face again, because WWE Rematch City is something that you can always count on. So if I had to make a prediction on this one, I'm going to say they're literally going to beat the hell out of each other, and some sort of crazy spot, they're both going to be down, and hopefully the third match is something like crazy. If you go back to the Batista and John Cena days, hopefully somebody gets taped up to a pole and just gets a living shit beat out of them. Then you have the tag team match between the Revival and the Usos. So the Revival and the Usos, this is a Mania match to me. I truly thought one year at WrestleMania, this would be almost a main event. When the Revival were on Raw and the Usos were on SmackDown, and the Revival, unfortunately, were dealing with all the injuries. This is a match I wanted at WrestleMania. Like this, the Revival was one of my favorite tag teams in NXT. If we talk tag teams in NXT, there was not a tag team match the Revival was in that I didn't pop for. Because the Revival sold to Psychology. They basically built up the entire match. There were so many false finishes in NXT. And since then, what have they done? Not a damn thing. Both of them kept getting injured, jaws and hips and shoulders and everything else. And they're finally the top guys. And because of the top guys worrying more about the money, I think the Usos are going to win here and win tag team gold over on Raw because they're going to start the Uso era on Raw. And to be honest with you, WWE, I wish you would have done this at Mania, but I'm not going to complain. I am looking forward to this match unless WWE pulls out some sort of bullshit shenanigans where the Revival are going to lose quick, you know. And if they do, hey, listen, we're going to get the match down the road. But I'm going to say the Usos pick up the victory here. Then you have two big title matches. You have a 1-on-2 match between Bayley and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Now, in this build, obviously, a lot of people speculated that what they're doing with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross was actually what they were doing with the best friends, Sasha and Bayley, last year. But, you know, one of them couldn't pull off the character, and Nikki Cross is doing a lot better. Listen, you may hate the storyline. You may not like it. I personally, like, it is a little bit weird at the same time because Alexa Bliss is the key manipulator in WWE. She finds a way to win the title somehow, some way, and having Nikki Cross in her corner. Bayley did tease a best friend, and, you know, Sasha's been on the world tour over in Sendai Girls and everywhere else, training and doing everything. And if she came back, it would pop the crowd huge on Sunday. Although, you know, part of me still really hopes she's done with WWE and she goes and tries to take over the world and joins a company like AEW. But hey, we can dream, right? So if I had to make a solid prediction here, if Bayley's going to win and they're going to pull the trigger, although, again, I wish they would do Sasha and Bayley if she does come back at WrestleMania. But if you're going to look to do a SummerSlam match, oh, God, would WWE actually do a tag team match at SummerSlam? I don't want to risk it. I'm going to say that Bayley finds a way to steal this one, and unless they truly do something where Sasha comes back and possibly screws Bayley, because she mentioned her best friend. And while her best friend has been champion on TV, you know, Sasha's been touring the world. Maybe they can sell it to us in the way WWE spins a tail like a spider would before it eats its prey and devours it and says, listen, you weren't here for me during all this. I don't know. It's just a bunch of crap. But Alexa Bliss, if she was to win this match, I'm not going to complain, but I want Bayley to win. I want Sasha Banks to come back. I just want the WWE to have a great women's division, man. I hope the tag team division finally gets picked up. I hope the Kabuki Warriors and the Iconics have more than a 2-minute match, and they do the damn job. So I'm going to say that Bayley's going to steal this one with the help from a friend. Although, knowing WWE, it will not be Sasha Banks that makes a save. It'll be a friend that Bayley's had that nobody's ever heard of. And they'll try to sell it to us and call it dog shit, a pile of a birthday cake or whatever you want to call it. Then you have Kofi Kingston versus Samoa Joe. Listen, Samoa Joe is one of my favorite superstars in WWE. He's had a very weird booking and time in the last 2 years. I mean, my God, look at stuff with AJ Styles going after his wife, his kids. I mean, he was his daddy for all we know, but he couldn't win the title. And now he's going up against Kofi Kingston. And the interesting thing here is obviously Paul Heyman has been teasing the Money in the Bank briefcase. I said at the start of the video, I think it'd be really cool if Baron Corbin wins the title without doing a damn thing and gets costed by Brock Lesnar. But at the same time, Brock Lesnar and Kofi Kingston do have history. WWE and Paul Heyman especially says, you know, when Brock Lesnar wrestles, it means something. Well, the last time Brock Lesnar wrestled Kofi Kingston, he got the shit beat out of him at Beast in the East for a network pay-per-view. So if he was to come in and absolutely destroy him, that'd be fine. Same thing with Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe at the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view, which, who remembers Great Balls of Fire? I mean, my God. So they didn't really get the super long match. I think they faced each other off the top of my head, I think for about 9 or 10 minutes. Samoa actually did put up a good showing. So like if Samoa Joe's right on the cusp of winning, out comes Brock Lesnar. I think that would be cool too, but that's probably just Paul Heyman trying to sell us on it. But if SummerSlam is coming up and you do want Brock Lesnar as champion going into SummerSlam to have somebody beat him, this would be the pay-per-view, I think, to do it at, especially knowing how petty WWE is with the All Elite Wrestling show and then Evolve. What better time to finally have the cash in and say, listen, we're listening to our fans, except, you know, Kofi is right now the most popular champion, and then Samoa Joe is obviously a guy people want to see beat the living hell out of each other. So if I had to make a prediction here, I'm going to say that Samoa Joe is on the cusp of winning or wins, and Brock Lesnar comes out and cash in. As much as I want a fantasy book Baron Corbin to win the title only to lose it, I think if we're going to get a cash in, and I've said this since day one, Brock Lesnar's going to cash in on Kofi, or he's going to cash in on that title. There's just something that I believe that WWE and Fox and they all want him on the TV show. So this could start his reign. So that's where we're going to wrap it up, guys, with Extreme Rules pay-per-view predictions. Let me know who you think is going to win in the comment section down below. And like I said, besides the 2 big gimmick matches, this is actually a pay-per-view that, in WWE terms, I'm actually excited for. There's a lot of new matchups between Aleister Black and Cesaro, Ricochet, Styles, Kofi, Joe. You know, Kofi just flipped off the bird to Samoa Joe, so there's definitely a lot of potential here. My Mania Dream match between the Revival and the Usos getting blown in an Extreme Rules pay-per-view really nobody cares about. And then, of course, the Graveyard Dogs. So, until next time, guys, let me know if you're going to watch this. Are you more excited for All Elite Wrestling or WWE? At this time, we're going to watch them both. We're going to be doing watch parties on CM Pulse's channel. You pretty much know who he is. So, you can follow those links in the description if you want to follow along with our watch parties. But until next time, it's been your boy, Tubby Emu. Thank you so much for watching. And I can't wait to see Brock Lesnar's boombox coming on down and cashing in finally and getting that pop so we can go to SummerSlam and get his ass kicked. Oh, my God. WWE's probably going to let Baron Corbin face him. Oh, God. Oh, God. Please, for the love of God, no.
Problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like